Hi, I'm Mark Cleghorn and welcome to Pose-Tober on the Photographer Academy, and we're looking at boudoir photography and how you can add different ideas into your session to either spice it up or just to add more variety. So every day on the Academy, we're adding one new image in for you, and you can check up here on our YouTube channel to kind of see the same content, but obviously our members get it ahead of time. But the Pose-Tober series is focused obviously on boudoir photography and their kind of how-to, so I'll explain the poses step by step. We can also look at why to add them in, perhaps into your sessions to add that variety. But I'm sure that during the 31 ideas that we're giving you during the course of the month, you're going to be able to take it away, whether it's classic, creative, different moods and styles, different body shapes. You'll be able to actually add in the different kind of styles, as I said. So my pose 20 is the sheet hug. This is kind of replacing the pillow now, where we've talked about in the previous session. But basically the sheet hug, whether the subject is going to be laying down, sitting up, or even stood up, they can use holding the sheet or fabric to disguise the body to kind of give us almost this implied nude. So in the words I've written, kind of laying or sitting, holding a sheet or fabric, pulling it up around the body, suggestively covering and revealing. That's technically it. The main thing for me is to give the suggestion of implied nude. I think that's where it works the best. I think if you've got bra straps showing, you may as well keep the sheet below the actual boobs then, because then that gives a suggestion that there's no pants on as such. So as far as the sheet, I tend to actually use one hand to control the sheet, and then the other hand is the pose hand. If I'm doing a kind of a back photograph, I usually drape the sheet like it's a bathrobe. So you can almost see the top of the neckline. And if you can always ask the client to actually just lower the back of the neckline a little bit, and then you'll actually see the crease of the bottom. So you can kind of really show kind of that implied nude. But even by holding the bath sheet or the bath towel in that effect, you can use one hand to actually grip both ends of the sheet or towel. And then, of course, you've got the other hand to actually use as a physical posing hand. So I would say that the shot where they're stood up is a little bit more difficult to arrange than it is when they're laying down. If the subject is stood up and they're turned towards camera position, then we could use both hands at the front, perhaps both of them together between the boobs to actually hold the sheet. Or once more, you could use the one hand to grip the two ends of the sheet itself, and then use the other one to actually kind of pick up the sheet a little bit more to expose possibly some more leg or whatever. When the subject's laying down, we could pretty much refer to the kind of the pillow hug in exactly the same way, is that we're using one hand with the sheet to kind of control the sheet, whereas with the pillow we tend to actually use the pillow hug as with both arms, both hands around it, kind of really grabbing it and pull it into the body. With the sheet pose, it's a lot more looser, it's a lot more gentle, and it's just almost like they've kind of covered themselves up to give themselves that little bit of kind of dignity, on a Sunday morning element and things. So using the one hand to suggest that they've just pulled the sheet over the body is why we're using that one hand to hold the sheet itself. The other hand then obviously can be used up towards the hair, towards the face, can be used to disguise the face for a faceless image and so on with it. But it works really, really well, and no matter what. If you were doing a kneeling pose, I would kind of think of it more like a stood up pose. So kind of shot of the back, shot of the front in exactly the same way. So you kind of got three different types of sheet hug, one for stood up, one for kneeling, and one for laying down. If we're looking at this image specifically, you can see how I'm using the subject's one hand to actually pull the sheet across to hide the boobs. We've got the hand actually in towards the hair, paying attention to those fingers as well. she's rolled away from camera position, so the buttock is more towards camera position, even though I'm photographing from pretty much above. But we've got those bent knees as well to actually kind of just give that implied element as well, a little bit more sexual and sensuality with it as well. But yep, Pose 20, the sheet hug, must do it. If you'd like to see some more content on the Photographer Academy, simply go over to thephotographeracademy.com. And if it's boudoir photography you're interested in, just scroll onto portrait, then kind of scroll down to boudoir, click onto that, and you'll see a whole host of different kind of topics for you to actually click onto. And any of the orange banners then takes you to the pages where you can actually follow that through to see more of our content.